Hi, Run Your Story family. This is Allison Gilliard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And that's it. The end of season 3. Listen, if you got really sad there thinking that your favorite podcast was over, well, maybe you should become a Patreon supporter. Just throwing that out there, guys. We'd love to have you join us. But in all seriousness, season 3 has been absolutely incredible. We have gotten to grow a team, and I'm still in awe of the incredible stories that we've gotten to share for season 3. And the cool thing about this podcast is that we don't take a break. So next week we'll start season 4. That's crazy. 4 seasons of sharing. Wow. Of just sharing incredible stories. I don't even know what to say, guys. Like, it's just so humbling, and I'm so grateful. And I say it every time, and that is, we are truly honored that you entrust us with your stories. We take this wholeheartedly. We love your stories. We are just in awe when I get to sit down and hear your stories. And I'm just thankful to every single one of you that have shared your stories over the past 3 seasons. And guys, season 4 is gearing up. Like, it is crazy. And that is because of our scouters and bookers that have joined us at Run Your Story. And that is our boys, Scott and Stefan, who are just extraordinary. They are my 2 brothers from Louisiana that I just love and adore, and I'm so grateful for them. So season 3, what a way to end it with my new friend, Jeffrey Weiss, and his run story. Guys, he's written a book, and it is such a good book. It's called Racing Against Time on Ironman, ultramarathons, and the quest for transformation and midlife. You guys are going to love this book. It's got suspense. It's got a lot of suspense. If you are like me and you're dabbling into trails or ultramarathons, or even if you're looking in how to get involved in Ironman, this is such a nugget of knowledge, this book. And so Racing Against Time, guys, I cannot say enough great things about it. I was very honored to get a copy of it ahead of time and to be able to read it, and it is so good. And Jeffrey is such a great writer, and you can't help but be cheering for him or sad or going through all the emotions that he's feeling in this book. It is such an incredible journey, and when you hear his story, you're going to want to go get this book. So I highly recommend it. Thank you, Jeff, so much for taking the time. He's a very busy guy, and so for him to take the time to share his story with us on Runner's Story is just incredible, and we're so thankful that you reached out and that you entrusted us with your story. And I loved guys, so much nuggets of knowledge. You may want a pen and paper with this because he gives some knowledge of wealth, and so incredibly grateful to Jeff and his run story. So make sure you go get that book, Racing Against Time by Jeffrey Weiss. And so thankful that we have podcast partners who believe in us and partner with us. And that this month is Bras Across the Causeway. They do so much for our community. They make sure that those fighting breast cancer don't fight alone when it comes to finances. They have enough to worry about with their health. And so Bras Across the Causeway is there to literally stand in the gap. And whether that's covering a medical bill or a procedure or a house note or groceries, Christmas is coming up. I think of no better way in the season of giving than to give on behalf of someone else to a nonprofit, and one of those being Bras Across the Causeway. So Kathy and Courtney, thank you for all that you do, and everyone at Bras Across the Causeway. You do an extraordinary job, and you help out our fellow neighbor, and we're so grateful. And it stays right here in our area. And thank you for seeing a need and filling that need. And guys, cannot say enough great things about them. So definitely go check them out at Bras Across the Causeway. All right, guys, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend Jeff and his Racing Against Time run story. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so excited because this has been a big month for you. You have released a book called Racing Against Time on Ironman, ultramarathons, and the quest for transformation in midlife.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I am so excited. And as I told you before the podcast interview, that one of the things that I really took away from this book was really trying to help you along in the book. You talk about the struggles in your first Ironman and how freezing the water was. And I mean, then you had, not to give anything away, but there was like the situation on your bike. It was just, you're like, let's go, Jeff. And then I would see in my hand, like trying to push you along in the water. And I'm like, all I'm doing is reading this book.
I could have used that help that day.
So thank you for, I will tell people, please go get this book by our friend Jeff. It really is good because you go through a whole transformation, hence the book. And you do talk a little bit about your run story in this book as well. And you go from your journey, which we will talk about, to ultra marathons, to Ironman, and not just ultra marathons. You go for like the crazy wildest ones.
It's been a lot of fun, but also a bit crazy.
Absolutely. So, Jeff, how does your run story begin? Like, how did we get here?
I think for me, in some ways, it began maybe in a negative way when I was 17. I tried my first 10K, ran the first 4 miles, walked the last two, and that always gnawed at me that I hadn't been able to run the whole distance. And then when I was 48, I started to realize that it was now or never to get serious about my fitness. My father had just passed away. And so took a running class, the goal of which was to run a 10K. And at the time, that was my entire goal. So it was a great class, learned a ton, and was able to successfully run that 10K distance, which at the time, that was all I was seeking to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. And the journey doesn't stop there.
No, so basically, and I think this happens, of course, to a lot of us who get involved with running, I was a bit bitten by the bug.
Mm-hmm.
It really was a great experience to do that race. I first tried just to run the distance faster, to break an hour, ran a few more 10Ks, then started to think about going for longer distances, did a half marathon about a year after that first 10K, surprised myself by being able to do it. And then, of course, kept thinking, well, what next? What else could I possibly do that in the past I would have thought would be impossible for me, and decided to do a marathon basically 2 years after that first 10K. And then from there continued maybe 4 years after that, decided to try to get into ultra marathons and started with a 50K and then attempted a 56-mile race in South Africa in 2018, right after my 56th birthday.
And the name of this one is Comrades. Did I say that correctly?
Correct. It's
Okay.
a cool race. It's the world's largest and oldest ultramarathon. It was started in the 1920s as a living memorial to South African soldiers who died in what was then known as the Great War, World War I. And it goes between two different cities, Pietermaritzburg and Durban, and reverses course each year. There's a lot of climbing and descending. The down run, Pietermaritzburg to Durban, has about 7,000 feet of descending and 5,000 feet of climbing. And of course, the other route is the reverse of that. So I tried the down run, and there are 6 intermediate checkpoints before the finish line. And there's a strict 12-hour time limit. And I got cut at the last checkpoint before the finish, before the stadium, after 11 hours and 51 miles of running. I missed it by a minute 44.
And what's interesting about this race, and you talk about in the book, is that it's not a you start at your chip time. It's like the cannon goes off, and that's when the 12 hours start. And so depending on where you're at, it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes before you even cross that starting line.
Yeah, that was a hugely challenging part of it. You get seated according to your qualifying marathon time. And so I was seated in the last group, which was farthest from the start. So it took me personally almost 13 minutes to cross the start. And of course, all of that was counted against my final time. In fact, at the end of the day, that may well have been the difference for me between success and failure. So it's one of many things that makes that race unique. They have wonderful rituals and songs and all sorts of traditions, but that particular one is an unfortunate one.
And I will say, it's, again, you really do such a great job in this book because you take us through that, from deciding where to stay at, dependent on, hey, are you going to be bussed over, which was not an easy 30-minute drive or an hour drive. And so versus all the things that you went through. And that was just incredible. Not only geographically completely different, but also mentally different.
That was very much the cool part of it all, in the sense that right from after doing that first 10K and then starting to climb the ladder of progressively more challenging distances and races, it just became an adventure. And I started to really enjoy the kind of the feeling that I was on a journey. And I was experiencing things that I had never thought I would experience in my life. I had once told a friend years ago that I was as likely to walk on the moon as I was to run a marathon. So starting to do races and then doing lots of them, and progressively more difficult ones, ultras and long course triathlon, it just was amazing to me that I was part of that. It was happening to me, and I really always enjoyed that.
Yeah, that I love that analogy. Well, Jeff, I would say you probably should go walk on the moon now.
Yeah. That actually would be frightening, but I think I'll confine my adventures to right here. But yeah, no, it was great. It was a great experience to go to South Africa, and it really was an exotic race. And the start is just remarkable. They
Mm.
play, there are several songs that are classics for that race, one of which is Chariots of Fire. And it sends chills down. It sounds like a cliche, I guess it is. It sends chills down your spine. You're there with 20,000 people, and they're playing that song. Everybody is feeling the moment, and there are searchlights dancing off the buildings, and
Mm.
it was quite exciting.
Mm. So I have to know, I want to ask this question in two ways. So the first one is, what are lessons that you've learned from running? But what are also lessons that you learned from writing this book?
I think from running, what I've learned is, and I think it's a lesson that I think carries over to other spheres of life, which is not to place mental limits on yourself,
Mm.
to open your mind to possibilities that perhaps in the past you've decided are just not you. They're not who you are. They're not the kind of person you are, not the kind of athlete you are. And to just have an open mind about new challenges, new experiences, new adventures. It doesn't mean that they're going to be easy. And some, like in my case, Comrades, may truly end up being out of reach. But there is great, I think, joy and happiness in the journey and the effort.
Mm.
And for me, that was a huge part of it. I think also just learning to persevere despite discomfort. I think anybody who runs long races and even shorter races that they're running for aggressive times, you're going to experience discomfort. You're going to have negative feelings. You're going to wonder why I got into this
That's
in the
right.
first place. And learning how to persevere, to silence or quiet down those negative thoughts, that's actually a great thing to learn. And then I think for me with the book, I only decided to write it once I felt that there was an arc to the story, that it was more than just a collection of zany race experiences, which I think we
Sure.
all accumulate
Mhm.
if we stay involved in these kinds of activities long enough. But there was a beginning, a middle, and at least for purposes of the book, an end, in the sense that going from 48, not having been involved in this sport at all, to really transforming myself, really pushing myself, discovering strengths that I didn't know that I had, and really experiencing a decade of my 50s as perhaps putting to one side the decade in which my kids were born, but in so many ways, my best decade, my most exciting and just uplifting decade.
Mm.
And for me, hopefully, the goal is for these adventures to continue. I've done a lot more since I finished the book. And really, it's my goal to keep doing this for as long as I am physically able.
That's amazing. You talk about, which you just hinted on that, you talk about it in the book about how your fitness journey, how it overlapped into your professional career and into relationships. And I think that's the beauty of not just running. And as you talked about, like running long distance and getting outside your comfort zone. And you said it so beautifully, like you persevere through the discomfort, whether it's life or it's a race, because maybe it's the conditions that are terrible. Or one of the races you talk about, you're on your bike in the rain and been there. So it's not
Yeah.
fun. And you can't change that, but you can change, as you said, your mindset towards that.
Yeah, I think that's extremely well put. I think that running teaches you, triathlons teach you to focus on controlling the controllable, what you can control.
Hmm.
And with
Mm.
respect to the things that you can't control, you need to take them into account. You need to engage with them, but you can't get down about things that simply are beyond your power to fix or to change. And that's a great life skill, no matter what
Mm.
you're talking about, whether it's your relationship, being a parent, being a professional. There are things it goes back to, it's so classically this, what is it? The serenity prayer.
Mm.
Give me the strength to change the things that I can, the ability to accept the things that I
Sure.
can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. And
Mm.
I think that applies whether it's sport or life generally.
Mm. You also have this really good quote, and I've written it down and I'm posting it in numerous places for me. I love this quote that you say, and that is, with audacious goals comes the potential for great failure.
Yeah, I think for me, it was that first Ironman where literally my race almost ended in the first 90 seconds. It had been 9 years from the start of my fitness journey to get to that point. I had trained very specifically for that race for the prior 12 months and got into the water. It was much colder than I expected, and I experienced cold shock. and started to panic. My heart was racing, hyperventilating. And there were people who actually did drop out of the race and did manage to get myself under control. But that was awfully terrifying. And
Sure.
so I think when you put yourself in challenging circumstances, it can go wrong. There's no guarantee. And that was a real lesson for me, especially with Comrades, that you can do the work, you can take it seriously, do the training, prepare yourself in every way possible. But it might not actually fully come together. But I think that's okay. I think a DNF, I think a failure in the narrow sense of the word, that you didn't finish a race that you wanted to finish, can actually be a springboard to greater success and to growth down the road. And that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So shifting a little bit, what has been, because you've done a lot, Jeff. You've done a lot. You've crossed a lot of finish lines. And for those that you didn't, because again, in the book, you talk a lot about Comrades and that experience. And so is there a favorite race, whether it's an ultra or a shorter one, or if it's an Ironman? Do you have a favorite race that you're like, I just love this race?
My favorite race was one that happened after the book,
Okay.
50-mile trail race. And I was about halfway through the race and I came into this clearing. It was during a very foresty part of the race. And I came upon this woman who was, I think, 31, I found out later. And she was walking and crying.
Oh.
And I asked if she was okay, if she needed something to eat, something to drink, some salt. And she said, no, I just don't think I can do it. And I said, of course you can do it. And I blurted out my race plan for the rest of the race. And she looked unconvinced and said, I just don't think so. And I just kept going. So a few minutes later, I heard footsteps behind me. And I turned around and it was her. And she said, look, I don't mean to be a creep, but I feel like if I don't stay with you, I'm not going to be able to finish. And I said, oh, well, in that case, let's just do it together. And so we ran the second half of the race together. And it was a fantastic experience because I think for her, she doubted herself, but she was actually much younger, I think a much better runner, much stronger runner than me. And I think we really ended up helping each other. I think for me, it took me out of my head. I wasn't able to do the thing that people typically do in ultras, which is to feel sorry for yourself, to get negative, to start to doubt whether it really is going to come together. And to help somebody else achieve their dream actually was incredibly meaningful to me. So yeah, I thought that was actually an absolutely amazing experience.
Wow. That is beautiful. I love stories like that. Oh, okay. Now, the next question is, what is a race that you're like, because you do talk about you started at 17 and you were like, I can't believe that I couldn't run all of that. And you walked away from this, never wanted to do it again. And then at 48, you picked it back up. So is there a race that you're like, I want to go back and do it, or nah, I'm never doing that again?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't think I would try Comrades again.
Okay.
I feel like, and of course, it can be a challenge to distinguish between what is truly beyond my capability and what is me placing an artificial limit on myself. I think with Comrades, I did try it a second time and got cut even earlier the second time when I was 60. And I think for me, just being honest with myself, I just don't see it because that time constraint is very harsh for someone like me who at the end of the day is not actually a fast runner. And so I think it's hard to know where I am with speed. I actually ran my fastest marathon in 2024, 10 years after my first marathon, which really surprised me.
Sure.
But I don't know if there are more PRs in my future. I may be past that stage now. We'll see. But I'm going to keep pushing and trying. And right now, my project is to do the 6 world major marathons. And I'm now halfway through that. I've done Tokyo, Berlin, and London, and still have New York, Chicago, and Boston to go. And so I'm really looking forward to those 3 over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Okay. That was a really good answer, too.
Thank you so much.
That's a great answer. Yeah, I would be like, yeah, I'm not ever doing that again either. So it's amazing you went back and tried it. That's kudos. Wow.
It is. I was supposed to try it in 2020, 2 years after the first time I tried it, when I would have been 58. And of course, that was the COVID year. And so the race was canceled. So I ended up having to wait an additional 2 years before the race started up again. Probably that extra time didn't help someone like me who was always going to be marginal in any event.
No. Wild. Wild. Let's shift to pre-race routine. Do you have one?
I guess so. I think for me, I really love the preparations for these races, the logistical stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
but like the night before, laying out all my stuff, my number, making sure it's attached to my shirt, making sure I have all the nutrition I need, all the liquids that I'm going to carry with me if I am going to carry liquids, salt tablets, Band-Aids set out, Vaseline, everything ready to go, because I know in the darkness in the morning, you're excited, you're distracted, and I don't want to forget something. So I always do that the night before and make sure that everything is where it needs to be. And then for races that are going to start in cold weather, I always bring throwaway clothes, throwaway sweatpants, and a throwaway top so I can stay warm before the race starts. And in my first marathon, I used a hoodie. It just worked out that way. And I found that I really loved it because you pull up that hood and you're there, but you're not there. You have a very personal solitude, and yet you still are able to absorb the pre-race excitement of everybody around you. Everybody's nervous, anxious, but excited. Nobody's hurting just yet. Usually there's music playing. And I love that feeling of being there, but also being a little bit separated and in my own kind of world as I try to psych myself up for something that's going to be tough.
Oh, that's good. It's like when the athletes do like their visualization, they go into like their own zone. And like you said, you're still there, you're aware of what's going on, but at the same time, you're like, okay, I'm also hidden and I can just have this moment to myself.
Exactly. And I love that visualization stuff. I think that's great. And for me, I've tried to take the visualization a step further
Mm,
to think in both directions. In other words, if I could go back in time and meet high school age Jeff
mm.
and tell him, hey, guess what? When you're in your 60s, you're going to be running marathons. I think high school age Jeff would be excited about that and surprised, because probably would think 60s, like, you mean you're still alive? Like that would be really shocking. And then I also try to think about how I'll feel when this stuff is behind me and I'm at the end. You imagine yourself near the end of life kind of pondering, thinking back. And I think I'll think back on some of these races and be happy that I tried them, happy that I made the effort, happy that I took those chances and had those experiences. And I do feel strongly that in life, when we look back at decisions we've made, things that we've done, at least for me personally, my greatest regrets are the things that I never tried. They're not
Mm,
things that I tried and that just didn't work out the way that I had hoped.
mm. Again, going back to that statement that you made that you have these goals and it's okay to fail because at least you tried.
Yeah, there's a great runner's expression that a DNF is better than a DNS. Did not finish is better than a did not start.
Oh, that's good.
And
Mhm.
so I think I remember watching a documentary once with this one, a female ultra runner, and she had this line like, "How do you know what your limits are if you've never failed?"
Mm,
And I think for too many of us, we restrict our risk taking to things that really aren't risky for us at the end of the day, things that we truly know we can do, that there's no drama, there's no suspense.
mm.
And I do think it's good. And again, I think this applies in all areas of our
Sure.
lives. You're professionally being part of a startup or taking on a job that is a promotion for you, something you haven't quite done before outside of your comfort zone. We can't be certain at the beginning that it's all going to work out in a terrific way. But
Mm.
I think all we can be sure of is that we're going to give it our all. We're going to take it seriously. We're going to do everything within our power to make it work out. And then what ultimately happens is probably not always entirely within our control anyway.
Mm. Oh, that's good. Man, Jeff, just dropping nuggets just left and right, man.
Well, you
So
bring them out.
that's right.
Say that.
You're too kind. Let's talk about so you cross the finish line and what does Jeff do after the race?
It's funny. I think for me, one thing that has consistently surprised me, I was very happy when I crossed the finish line for that first 10K
Mm-hmm.
and went over, got refreshments, and actually hung out with the other people from the running class. When I crossed the finish line for my first half marathon, I was euphoric. It was just an incredible feeling. Ever since then, I'm always happy to finish for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very medal obsessed, like I think a lot of us are. So the minute I cross the finish line, like I'm looking all over the place. Where are the medals? Where are the medals? Because it's so exciting to actually get the finisher's medal. But I haven't felt, even for the Ironman races, I have not felt an in the moment feeling of ecstasy or euphoria that,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that was amazing. And other people experiencing it, you see them drop to their knees, you see them breaking into tears. And I love that and I'm moved by it. But I think for me, those warm, wonderful, happy feelings come later as I think back and they accompany me. And I did my first Ironman in 2019. I think about that race all the time. And that's a cool thing.
Mm. And all the things that went into it. One of the things that you talk about in the book is all this preparation and everything. And then here it comes, day of. And that was what you were talking about with the run club and like the workouts that you did for your first marathon and then going into Ironman. And you just had to process it all in that moment at the start because you're like, I'm literally here.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think the really challenging races, and again, everybody's different. For other people, maybe Ironman isn't especially challenging, but I think for somebody like me, there was a lot of anxiety in the days leading up to it, especially the second time that I went to do it, because I really knew this is going to be a hard day. This is going to be a painful day. It's going to be a long day. And so I think for the really challenging races, there is a lot of pre-race anxiety to deal with. And that's in some ways for me the hardest part, because there's not much you can do with it. Once the race starts, then you're battling the race. But in those days leading up to it, it can make for a decent amount of stress.
Mm. One of the things that you also talk about a lot, and in look what you just said with the stress, is that sleep is so important. And it's not just the night before, it's the night before where you're like, you
Yeah, I
have to
love that.
sleep.
Yeah, I love that. And somebody told me that once, that maybe I read it somewhere from some coach, that you really want to get a good night's sleep the night before the night before.
Mm.
And the last night before, obviously, it would be great to get a good night's sleep. Some of us are more able to do that than others. Actually, I think I've gotten better about that over the years, and I do tend to sleep decently well the night before. But I am really laser focused on 2 nights before and making sure that that one is a good night.
That's good. So I got to know, what is your favorite running item? Jeff will not hit the pavement without this item.
Honestly, headphones
Mm.
beats headphones. In Comrades, one of their rules is no headphones.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that to be extraordinarily difficult. I feel like I have to be listening to something when I do long races.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be quiet, I love to listen to a book. If it's going to be noisy, then it will be music. But it does help to take me out of my head, out of my thoughts, which the things that go through your head during a race can sometimes set you back and become an obstacle for you if you start to go down a negative road with thinking.
Absolutely. So what does your playlist look like, Jeff, when you're listening to music?
It's all over the map. I just, let me, if you don't mind, I will
Yeah.
quickly open it up and see what I can find here. Ed Sheeran, Lady Gaga,
That is totally
Avicii, Usher, Rihanna, Fireflies, Owl City, Black Eyed Peas, Chicago, Dionne Warwick. I love Dionne Warwick. Some Rolling Stones, Glenn Campbell. It's just, it's everywhere. It's not anything, but I think it tends to be probably a little bit older stuff. But yeah, just music that kind of transports me a little bit.
Sure.
I like that. And if it's going to be a book on tape, I tend to like, it's always nonfiction for me. And I tend to like memoir. When I did my first marathon, I listened to Cheryl Strayed's book, Wild, which is absolutely awesome. And it just seemed perfect because she's narrating her adventure on the Pacific Crest Trail and I was experiencing my adventure. So it seemed like art imitating life. But that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Okay. Running shoes. So we can talk about road shoes and then trail shoes. So do you have a favorite for road and do you have a favorite for trails?
For road, I wear the Brooks Adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
Basically got fitted on that a bunch of years ago
Mm-hmm.
and am just fanatically committed to them because they do seem to work for me. I took that advice years ago that I see often in running magazines, like go to a specialty running store,
Mm-hmm.
get fitted professionally. Don't just buy something that looks cool or that you saw a commercial for, that some runner that you admire likes to wear, because I think we all are different in one way or another. But that shoe seems to work for me. And then I use basically the Brooks trail shoe that's the equivalent. I'm spacing right now on the name of it. But honestly, I've only worn that shoe in that 50-mile race in West Virginia.
Okay.
Because all the ultras that I've done have been road ultras
Okay.
or ultras on hard packed dirt such that you didn't need to wear trail shoes.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. So you've already mentioned how you like to fuel, how you pack everything the night before. So for your longer runs, what do you like to fuel with or how do you fuel?
I think for me, for longer runs, it's always gels. I think the one area in which it changes for me is for ultras. I do get involved with candy.
Okay. Okay.
I read once an article where the guy was recommending Payday candy bars and tried that for my longest ultra, and they were great. I love Ghirardelli chocolates with caramel, Lindor truffles,
Mm,
things that I would never eat otherwise because they're so calorie dense, but you actually want that for an ultra and you want to keep eating. And candy, the right kinds of candies for a particular individual, you will always want to eat those. And so it is important to keep the calories coming. So that's my one switch, but otherwise it's all gels all the time. I just do the goo gels. Love birthday cake. And there's a salted caramel one that I also
mhm.
love. And there's an orange one that I also like a great deal.
Mm,
Those are my standards.
okay. Wow. So you've written this incredible book about your journey. And again, it's packed full of nuggets of wisdom. Do you have a favorite running memory? Like when you think about this memory, it just makes you smile?
It's a great question. I do have a lot of warmth toward my very first marathon. It's the Marine Corps Marathon. It's a
Mm,
great race. It's a big race. I used to live in the DC area, so the route had a lot of meaning to me. A lot of it's along the Capitol Mall, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. And the race finishes in the shadow of the Iwo Jima Memorial.
mm,
And literally, a Marine second lieutenant
mm.
salutes you and puts the medal over your neck when you
Ugh.
finish. That actually is a warm memory. That's actually the
Mm,
most powerful finishing experience that I've ever had.
mm.
So I think that one kind of stands out. And then I think the Ironmans in the sense that even though I didn't have in the moment euphoria,
Sure.
it was clear to me within moments after finishing that I had given it my all and I was wrecked. And that
Mm,
was actually a cool feeling to like, wow, I couldn't have gone on much longer than this,
mm.
but I did hold it together. And now I'm excited to have this experience behind me, to have this memory, and to be able to take a shower and rest
And sleep and sleep.
and sleep for sure.
I love that so much. Oh man, Marine Corps is on my bucket list. And when you talked about it in the book, I just couldn't help but smiling because I'm like, it's there. It's that sign of here's the one that you need to do. So I appreciated you
It's
writing about it.
and it's a great start. And they do a flyover.
Mm,
In my case, I think both times it was a pair of Ospreys, which are really cool planes.
mhm,
And they actually fire off a howitzer to kick off the race. And there are Marines manning the aid stations, and everything is
mm,
run so professionally and so efficiently. And there's just a great vibe the whole time. I've done that race 3 times, and
mm.
I totally recommend it.
Oh, all right. I have to ask this question, which is, do you have a favorite pre-race or post-race meal? Like when you are done, is there something that you're like, I've just got to have this? And then pre-race, you're like, this is how I fuel.
I have to say, I just did the Berlin Marathon last month,
Mhm.
and I was in Germany for one day when I was a teenager. It's a long story, but otherwise, had never been to Germany as an adult. And the beer really is better there.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
Okay.
after that race at the air, and I had to fly out within hours of finishing the race. I
Oh,
get to the airport and I had pizza and beer, and it was, I think, the best meal I've ever had in my life. And so as soon as I was done, I basically ordered the same thing again and just had it a second time. It was that good.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so that was it's actually the best. That's probably that is my best meal ever, and certainly my best post race meal that I've ever had.
That's awesome. Let's shift a little bit to recovery. Do you have a favorite recovery tool?
I have gotten into ice baths in the last year or so.
Yeah.
Started getting exposed to cold water stuff when
Mhm.
I was getting ready for my second Ironman
Mm,
and was nervous about a return of the cold shock.
sure.
So started reading about the Wim Hof method and started doing cold showers, started to work on the breathing, but actually hadn't taken a real ice bath. And in the last few months, I have gotten into it very consistently. I do it twice a week, 3 minutes each time at about 37 to 40 degrees.
Mhm.
And what's amazing to me is getting in is the hardest part, like
Oh,
literally just
sure.
sitting your butt down. That's the part that really takes some willpower. Once you're in, if you know what you're doing. So for me, it was always very consciously deep breath in, slow breath out, deep breath in, slow breath out. And now I just go in and just breathe normally
Mhm.
and listen to some music, wait for the 3 minutes to pass, and then I get out. And that's actually cool to feel that progress.
Mhm.
But I think for me, I do my long runs on Sundays, and I always do an ice bath on Sunday after the long run.
Mhm.
And I feel like I go into that ice bath sore and I come out almost fully restored. And that to
Mm.
me is miraculous. So I'm a big fan of those.
I got a cold plunge for Christmas this past
Oh,
year.
fantastic.
And so I
That's
have one
fantastic.
at home, and I try to take one before I go to bed nightly because I just have the
Wow.
best sleep. Like, it is
Wow.
phenomenal. Like, 10 out of 10 recommend. And you're right. It takes a few moments. Like, I get in, I'm like, "Whoo, buddy, it's cold." And
Yeah.
then you just kind of have to self-talk yourself of just sit down in the cold plunge. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's funny, like, if you've ever tried meditation,
mhm.
they talk about it. If you ever read or listened to people talking, instructors about how to meditate, they talk about if a thought comes in, don't try to fight it. Just notice it, be aware of it, don't judge it, don't fight it, and just concentrate on your breathing. And to me, in some ways, that's what ice baths have become. In other words, I sit into it, and instead of being like, oh man, this is so cold, this is
Mhm.
brutal,
Mhm.
it's like just noticing that it's cold. And with
Mm.
curiosity, the way they talk about meditation, wow, it's kind of cold. But it doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't cause you to hyperventilate or
Mhm.
to want to just jump out of the thing. And that's actually pretty amazing to feel that kind of progression
Yeah.
with it.
Oh, that's cool. So, since you're an Ironman, because as a runner, you cross train with your bike and your swim, but you're an Ironman athlete. So, that's your normal. So, do you have another type of cross training that you like to do?
When I'm trying to look at some other things, mostly I'm trying in the last few years to get more serious about areas where I still am weak.
Okay.
So within the last 6 months or so, I'm trying to get serious about yoga
Mm.
because I listened to your recent podcast with the guy who just ran Badwater at age
Oh, Bob
80.
Becker.
And he was talking about how he's now getting into yoga for the same reason. And, yeah, and I think we all have the same experience that we don't stretch enough and we are inflexible. And I would like to improve on that. So trying to get more serious about yoga. Still not sure if I want to get into other sports. I really do love the three triathlon sports,
Mhm.
running, swimming, biking. My mind is open to it, but the yoga in particular is something that I think I have to really commit myself to. And I'm starting to not utterly hate it, which is
Mm.
progress for me. I don't yet enjoy it, but I'm also no longer counting every minute until the session is over, which I used to do. And so hopefully in a few more months or a year or so, I'll get to a point where I can actually get a little bit of pleasure out of it, but we'll see. But
I,
we'll see.
I'm laughing because I'm like, I love how you're like, I don't hate yoga, but I enjoy a nice bath.
Yeah. I think we're all a little bit crazy,
It's
those of us who get
wild.
involved in this.
Listen, my downward dog is terrible, okay? Especially when they're like, try to pedal and your heel of your foot's supposed to come down to the mat. And I'm like, yeah, not happening. Like,
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're describing, and I have the exact same experience. Yeah, no, I when it's or even just the things where the instructor wants me to touch my toes and
right.
my hands are not within a million miles of my toes. They're lucky to get a little bit below my knees. And so we'll see how that goes over time. But I do actually feel progress. And on a lot of the different movements, poses, I do feel like I'm extending my range a bit. And that's a nice feeling. I think that's part of why I'm starting to detest it a little bit less.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Jeff, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to start running or wants to get into ultra marathons or is looking at an Ironman? What is a piece of advice that you wish somebody would have given you?
I think a couple things. And I should say that I don't tell people, oh my God, you got to do ultras, or oh my God, you got to do
Sure.
marathons, you got to do. I think everybody needs to find their own path
Mm,
to become fit. I do strongly recommend to pretty much everybody to try to make a serious commitment to fitness and to get that into your life because it will immensely change how you age and how you experience life. And it will create all sorts of opportunities and possibilities for you, all sorts of growth. So I think for me, it probably took me a few years to start to discover how important coaching can be. I think working with a coach is such a wonderful
mm,
experience. It takes so much of the thinking out of it. And it takes a lot of the willpower out of it too. If my coach gives me a workout to do, I just do it. I look at it like, okay, so that's what I need to do.
mm.
I don't argue with myself. Do I really want to do intervals today? That seems like a lot. And the paces that he gives me sometimes seem a little bit aggressive, but I feel like, well, he knows what he's doing and this is what he's telling me to do. And he's going to see the data and I don't want to be embarrassed the next time we have a session. So I better just do it. And it also saves me having to truly learn this in the way that coaches understand training and race preparation, which is no small thing.
Mhm.
And so I think working with a coach is a great thing. In general, I'm a big fan for people who are open to endurance sports. I'm a big fan of races
Mm-hmm.
and goal setting and tackling progressively more challenging races, because I think it does a lot for you just emotionally
Mm-hmm.
in terms of how you see yourself. And I do think it can be a real source of those life lessons for other spheres of life. When my kids were growing up, I think you hear this a lot with youth sports, that sports are there to teach kids all sorts of life lessons. Honestly, I believe that.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and I think that's still true for us as adults. I think we can learn a lot
Mm-hmm.
for it. And so, again, if you want to just do the 5K distance or the 10K distance, whatever it is, I think it doesn't really matter specifically. But I do think that setting goals, pushing yourself a little bit sensibly, you don't want to get hurt,
Mm-hmm.
but really challenging yourself and not being afraid to discover that, well, actually, I wasn't able to do this particular thing on this particular day, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow's a new day and you just keep going.
That's really good. You also talk about goal setting in your book. And one of the things that you talk about is, especially for endurance athletes, is that, okay, go ahead and sign up for that big race. But while you're in the middle of training for that, go ahead and sign up for the next thing as well, because that race is going to come and go. And then what are you going to train for? What's next? And I thought that was such a cool nugget of wisdom where I was like, I mean, I'm always signing up for races. I don't even think, I guess now, like I'm past that moment of like, oh, well, now I've got this and this. But I guess I was already practicing that without realizing that I was practicing that.
I love that. I think that's great. Yeah, I think for me, it was something that I read somewhere that if, especially if you're going after a particular race, which in my case was Comrades,
Mhm.
that I knew going in, at best, I had a 50% chance of being successful. It was at the outer reaches of what I was capable of. And I didn't want to experience just a deflated feeling at the end of that race.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to be able to, and this was the advice that I had been given, you want to be able to pivot emotionally immediately to the next thing.
Mhm.
Okay, that one's done. What's next? And so for me, my next big reach goal was to do a half Ironman the following year and the full Ironman the year after that. And those I was able to do. So yeah, I just feel like I always want to know that there are new things coming up, exciting things coming up, different things coming up that I haven't
Mm.
done before. And in general, just to feel like that there's adventure in my life, that I'm on a journey, that things are happening. And it's exciting. I think when we're young, we are so able to look forward with optimism and excitement about an unknown future that holds all sorts of possibilities.
Mm.
And I think a lot of us lose that ability as we get older. And in many ways, our worlds can become narrower. And I think through things like racing, we can actually overcome that and
Mm.
bring back some of the sense of adventure and new mountains to climb.
Oh, that's good. Again, nuggets, just dropping them left and right, Jeff. So you've mentioned this several times, and that is a lot of, and we all experience this whenever we're running and we're like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? This is terrible. The weather's horrible. We have all this negative self talk. So, do you have a mantra or a saying, or is there something that you do to help you get through to finish when you just get in that headspace?
Not typically, but one time I did, and it made all the difference in the world.
Mm.
The toughest ultra that I've ever done was a 72-mile race around Lake Tahoe called Midnight Express. You start at 9 o'clock at night, run through the night, and then through most of the next day. And I started to have, after about 7, 8 hours of running, I started to have intense left knee pain because there was a lot of descending on that
Mm.
course. And I've learned over the years that's extremely punishing for me personally and really hurts my left knee. And so I actually decided to drop out of the race, but then decided to procrastinate with respect to my decision to drop out and to see if I could change some things up and ease the pain, which I was able to do.
Mm.
And then I started to think about a sign that I've seen, I'm sure you've seen as well many times at marathons, which is pain is temporary, victory is forever.
Mm.
And I thought, you know what? If I can somehow pull it together, stay out here, finish this race, I will cherish this for the rest of my life. And not that I've hopefully lived the rest of my life, but that was 2 years ago. And I think about that race all the time and how happy I am that I did tough it out. I stayed out there, I was able to finish. And honestly, the knee felt better within a week.
Mm.
So, yeah, so I think that was the one time when I can really say that was a particular slogan or motto or mantra that actually really made a difference for me.
That's amazing. I love that. Jeff, do you have a favorite length to run, whether it's a training run or it's race day? Is there a certain mileage that just makes you smile? You're like, yes, I get to go run this.
Honestly, no.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Like in the following sense, I think that running for me is a strange activity in the sense that I am always so happy at the end of every training run, no matter what the distance, what the type of training run it was. I always have a feeling of well-being right when I'm done, and it carries over into the rest of the day, and that's great. While I'm doing it, that's a different matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm typically distracting myself by listening to something. Every now and then I think, wow, it's amazing that I can do this because I never thought of myself as a runner. But no matter how short or long the run is, I'm not really doing it with a smile and not really so much enjoying it in the moment, but I know how happy I will be when I finish that training run. And that is enough actually to always get me out there, to always keep me going and to always make me happy that I'm doing it. But yeah, I can't say that I especially cherish either long or short training runs.
Okay. That's a very unique answer, Jeff. You've mentioned that your goals are now to run the world majors. Do you have something else on your scope as well when it comes to goals?
I want to get back into long course triathlon. I don't know if I'll do another full, but I want to get back into halves.
Okay.
I've done 4 half Ironman races. I want to start doing those again. And then, I don't know, I'm just interested in figuring out some other cool things that might be out there. I really did love that 50-mile trail race. I could see doing another one of those, maybe even that specific one again, because it was such a nice experience. And I think running in the forest on a trail is actually pretty magical, but I don't have a very specific goal yet. And in this sense, I need to take my own advice and really try to develop one for after the majors. And so I know I have probably 2 more years to do that developing, but I will have to do that before I set foot on the last of the 6 world majors.
That's great. When you aren't running, Jeff, what fuels you? What are you passionate about?
I love writing. This is my 3rd book, and I try to approach writing in much the same way that I approach physical training. It's a daily activity for me. I actually write before I train, 1 hour a day, precisely 1 hour a day, 6 days a week. And then I train. And it doesn't matter if I'm feeling great or not great, it's always an hour. And so if I don't feel like doing it, I do it. And inevitably, those negative feelings pass pretty quickly. And if I'm feeling great, I still stop at the hour because I really want to maintain it as a habit that I feel confident I can fit into my day in a consistent way. So yeah, so that's my other big passion, just outside of all the usual things that we have to deal with, work and relationships, family, and all of the rest.
That's amazing. Jeff, what is something that you want readers to take away from your book?
I really feel strongly that we're living at a time when there's a lot of focus on longevity, how long we might be able to live, health span, how many years we can live healthy, free of disease, that kind of thing. And for me, I take longevity off the table. I'm not worried about how many years I might have on this planet. That will depend on a lot of things, and not all of which will be a factor of the things that I do. But health span, that's different. And I think we all have an immense ability to influence how we age, how active we can be as we get older, through our 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. But it will require us to get serious about a number of things, including our sleep and our nutrition, but primarily our fitness. And so I think we all should be looking for ways to incorporate fitness. I don't think there's a way to avoid it, and I don't think we should want to avoid it. And I think there's just a lot of happiness that comes out of being fit, but it really will change how we age. And so my advice to everybody is really engage with that and really try to find a way to make it a part of your life. You won't regret it, and it really will change your life in a profound way.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's such good advice. Any final words of wisdom, my friend?
Honestly, no, I think that really is my main message. And that's why I wrote the book, because I really want to help people have a journey like mine. Again, not with the same specific destinations, but just for those of us who haven't been serious in the past about our physical well-being, there's a lot of joy in it. And I would love to see other people have that experience too, because I think it really can be a game changer for us. And it's the part of life that we can control. And we should, again, try to control the things that are within our power and to take those seriously.
Again, just dropping nuggets of wisdom left and right, my friends. Thank you, Jeff, so much for your time. And thank you for writing this book. Like I said, racing against time on Ironman ultramarathons and the quest for transformation in midlife. So good. Again, I felt like I was just trying to push you along in the water, trying to help you with what was going on during your bike course. And When you talk about it, Comrades, and just all the things that you were going through, I was like, oh man, like I feel like I'm going through this too. So I appreciate you writing this book.
I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate what you do. I think your podcast is amazing. The stories that you bring on and the enthusiasm that you bring to this, it's fantastic.
Oh,
And I think it's great. I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic.
well, thank you, Jeff. And I cannot wait to see what else you conquer goal wise. And thanks for inspiring us all.
Thanks so much, Allison.
What an incredible, phenomenal human being. And what an athlete. Oh my goodness. Wow. Like even going back and listening, I'm like, man, Jeff, like just not only so much knowledge and wisdom dropped, but also just his heart for community, his heart, again, that wisdom that he said of like, hey, let's get out there. Let's take care of our health. Let's take care of each other. And we all know that when we're feeling good because we've worked out, we're eating right, we're getting enough sleep. That's something that Jeff really harps on throughout his book and in this podcast. And that is, but then we're able to function and we're able to think and we're able to give back to our community. And so, Jeff, thank you for all your words of wisdom and for writing this incredible book. I'm so proud of you, my friend. And I call him my friend now because I feel like we really got to know each other during this podcast. It was so fun. And I can't wait to see what else he does. I can't wait to see him take on all those stars for the world majors. That's so exciting. And again, it's made me rethink goals and how I set the goals. And so I'm incredibly thankful to have gotten to share this story of Jeff. He's such an incredible human being. So guys, go out there and get his book, Racing Against Time, on Ironman, ultramarathons, and the quest for transformation in midlife. And again, the reminder that it's never too late, never too late. And that's cool too. So thank you, Jeff, so much for sharing your story and for being who you are. And keep it up, my friend. So excited for you. Again, thank you to Bras Across the Causeway for being such an incredible podcast partner this month. We love and adore you guys and are so thankful for you and what you do for this community. And guys, it's never too late to give and to donate. And you should do that. Bras Across the Causeway, they do such amazing work and we're so thankful for them. And we can't wait to see what else you guys do. You guys put on amazing events. You believe in this community, you show up for this community. And that's what it's all about, is community. We're all in this together. As always, Gilliard Tech Services, thank you so much, Gray. He has been a part of this from day one, and he was so excited when it was season 3 coming to an end, and he's like, we've season 3. Like, wow. So now we're going into season 4. And that is all because of Gilliard Tech Services. And he is such a huge advocate for this running community. And I believe about pouring into those who pour into us. And so if you need a website designed or you have thoughts about a website or you have no idea where to start, definitely check him out at Gilliard Tech Services. I know he would appreciate it and love it. He gives so much to this running community and so much to Run Your Story. And so I'm very thankful that we have him as part of our team and all that he does. He believes in this podcast and he believes in websites. He knows the power of it. So guys, go check him out at Gilliard Tech Services. You can also find out more about him on Run Your Story as well. To our Patreon family members, season 3. Can you believe we did it, guys? Oh, we've been a part of this for 3 seasons, and next week we kick off 4 seasons. I cannot believe it. I'm so stinking excited, and I'm incredibly thankful because it's because of you. Because that we've had people that have said, we want to help you carry this burden financially, and they've stood in the gap, and I'm so incredibly thankful. So whether you are a Patreon member at $5 or all the way up to the 26, the 50, or whatever it is, I just want to say thank you on behalf of my family, because there's a lot of time and sacrifice that goes into this. And we're just thankful that we have people that have helped pick up and help pave the way for this to make it to season 4. So thank you so very much for joining us, our Patreon family members. We love you and adore you and are so very thankful for you. Thank you to everyone who listens and shares and comments. We love it. We love reading your comments. We love seeing all the shares, and that's how the stories get out there. We don't do this for accolades. We don't do this for a high five. We do this because your stories matter and your stories make an impact. And to be able to see that time and time again is why we do this. And so we're very thankful for it. So thank you to everyone who has poured into Run Your Story and made it to where we can make season 4. Thank you so much. That being said, guys, go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.